The City Council meeting of the City of New Franklin. Before the regular council meeting starts, we have committee meetings. These are less formal meetings than the actual meeting, so if anyone has, from the public would like to make any comments, you're welcome to. It's up to the committee chairman. We ask you to keep it brief. After all the committee meetings are over, we will begin the regular meeting where there will be 2 times for public input. We have 3 first readings and 1 second reading tonight. So Councilman, wait a minute. Councilman Holman, why do we have? Oh, okay, he sponsored it, gotcha. All right, this is Community Development, Mr. Schaefer.
All right, we'll jump right in. We'll open up the Community Development Committee at 6:03. Before us, we have a resolution 24-R-13, which is a resolution establishing a business spotlight program. I think I'll turn this over to Mr. Allman so we can.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Schaefer. I think this is a great program. I would like to bounce off that Barry did bring up last council meeting about doing a business directory. I think it's a great idea that we should do here in New Franklin. There's a lot of businesses that people don't think about. I myself have been thinking, like, go get something from Lowe's and like, oh, we have Manchester Hardware right down the road. I found myself overseeing it, and I think we have a great community here. Like always, we have a bunch of small businesses that get overlooked, I feel sometimes, just very small, close-knit, very quiet. And I think a program like this going along with the business directory will really highlight what these businesses do. I chose to make it that we'll do like every quarter or more so. I think that would allow council at least a time to visit the business so that we can truly, all of us up here can really say something positive and highlight it. With that, we invite the business owner themselves to say something. If they would like to show up to the meeting, it would be more than recommended for them. So we'd love to just engage as a government, as city council, along with the local businesses to hear what they say. We've talked a lot with, how can we help businesses here in New Franklin? And I think this is starting a step forward as this council is really active in helping that.
I also think it's a great idea, and I think it's one of those things that we need to do that helps build a sense of community, because as I've said many, many times, we lack that because of the fact we've got 4 different school districts, and I think something like that's great.
Everybody get with waiting on 3?
Yep.
All right, with that, I will close the Community Development Committee at 6:05.
All right, next we have Finance Committee, Mr. Cox.
Thank you. We will open the Finance Committee at 6:03. And our first resolution tonight is Resolution 24R14, a resolution authorizing transfer funds from the General Fund to the Police District Fund and declaring an emergency. And this is our usual fund transfer of amount of $250,000. Questions, comments? Comfortable waiving 3? All right. Our next item is Resolution 24R15, a resolution authorizing additional appropriations to the 2024 annual operating appropriation budget for the Franklin Park Civic Center Capital Projects Fund and declaring an emergency. And this is for expenditures incurred through the state capital grant. And this is for the amount of $251,727.44. Any comment?
I can explain that if you like.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
What we had anticipated the previous year was that the grant would be finished up by then. So when in July, when we did the initial budget, we did not budget for more money in the capital projects because we figured it would be finished. So when it came time to the initial budget with the estimated estimates on it, there was nothing there because we assumed that that project would be done. So now, at the end of January every year, we have to actually send into the county our ending balances on all of our funds so that they can update the certificate of estimated resources with the actual figures. That has now happened, and now I can actually ask you, can we appropriate, and all I'm asking is that we appropriate to the amount that is the balance in the fund. Because even though it is more than what's left to pay, we are still going to have to pay some of it back to the general fund eventually when it's finished. So we just need to appropriate the entire amount that we had in there at present.
But again, this is not new spending or a new anything. This is all just a part of that $300,000 grant, so it's a flow through. We're not giving $250,000 to the computer house. That's not already.
No, it's already been, put into that fund, and so we are just in the process of spending that down toward that grant. And of course, it won't go down to the same amount as we spent, because when we already got one reimbursement for $117,000, so that goes back into that and any other place that we spent that out of. So it won't look exactly like the numbers because of the way that it works, but if we should appropriate the amount of money that we know that is in there right now so that we can continue to complete this grant.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Wave 3? Terrific. We have one second reading tonight, Resolution 24R09. Mr. Powell.
This is a resolution granting a wage increase for the clerk of council and declaring an emergency. I think we've had a chance to discuss this. This essentially is giving a wage increase to the clerk that has not had a wage increase since 2006. So I know we had a bunch of discussion about this. I think everybody had a comfort level with it. Any comments on this?
I think it's well deserved. I think Kelly does a great job for us.
She does. I appreciate the things you do a lot. It'd be nice if this was, staggered over many years. We went many years. As I said, council has either no raises, so I think this helps bring it.
It'd be hard without you, Kelly.
Are you guys okay waiving the third reading?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else for Finance Committee? We will close Finance Committee at 6:07.
Any other committees have anything? All right. No, hearing none. Call to order the regular meeting of City of New Franklin. Pledge of allegiance.
Yeah.
Oh, 6:09.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Kelly, can you call the roll?
Mr. Cox?
Present.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Daniels?
Here.
Mr. Powell?
Present.
Mr. Almond?
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular scheduled meeting from February 7th, 2024.
Second.
The first and second, Kelly?
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Motion passes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the financials for January of 2024, subject to audit.
Second.
Kelly?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Now is the opportunity for public comment, so if you've got any comment, please feel free. Keep it, we ask that you keep it 4 minutes if you can. So, been quiet lately. So that brings us to our first reading. Kelly, could you read 24R13?
A resolution establishing a business spotlight program.
This program was brought before the Community Development Committee. I think it's a great program. I'd ask if we could waive the 3.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt.
Well, hang on, so you gotta vote
Mr.
first.
Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Motion passes. Now,
Now I can make my motion to adopt resolution number 24-R-13.
Second.
Kelly?
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution 24R14.
A resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the general fund to the police district fund and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on Resolution 24R14.
Second.
Kelly?
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
We move to adopt resolution 24R14.
Second.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes. Motion passes. Resolution 24R15.
A resolution authorizing additional appropriations to the 2024 annual operating appropriation budget for the Franklin Park Civic Center Capital Projects Fund and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on resolution 24R15.
Second.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
We move to adopt resolution 24R15.
Second.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Resolution 24R09.
A resolution granting wage increases for the clerk of council and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee. I'd like to move to waive the 3 reads.
Second.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 24R09.
Second.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Motion passes. We don't have any third readings or any legislation, so we'll roll into the, I don't know if he's ready yet. I have a question as we start. How is I guess we didn't talk about the dates that the wage increase would be effective, and that's not, would that be effective March 1st? March 1st, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Since it's declared, that makes sense, okay.
Tomorrow at 6:30, Planning and Zoning will be meeting to continue their public hearing on Sorick Farm. Public's invited. We did have, as the Beacon Journal reported, and as we posted on our website, the site plan has been presented to us relative to what we'll call the Water 9 development. There is the first review and discussion of that site plan will be with Planning and Zoning. That'll be Wednesday, March 27th at 6:30. It has to be published for 30 days, and that's why there's a delay on that. But it also gives everybody a pretty good opportunity to look at those plans as well. And that the procedure, that would be their first review and discussion. Eventually, we'll reach a point where Planning and Zoning will determine what they want to do. Are they approving it? And if so, then it'll come to council. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for public input. And in fact, all the proceedings relative to that will be, the public is invited to attend. On that note, I talked with Barry today, and it occurred to me that we haven't had a site plan for development in New Franklin since ever. And Barry couldn't remember any. And so I thought, it's a specialized area. We want to give planning and zoning and council every tool they might need to be able to fully understand what's being proposed. So something doesn't get approved and later we didn't realize that if you look at these site plans that little language down here meant whatever. So I thought it'd be nice maybe to bring another oar into the water on this thing, have another consultant maybe perhaps work with us on this. And literally, I put a little post-it note for myself, and I said, well, I should do that. And then I got back to it, I said, well, look at it. I said, well, we got Fred Guerra, who's got a wealth of experience, has handled any number of these. So reached out to Fred. He's willing to be involved on an hourly basis and to work on this with Barry. And I just think it'd be good for the city to have that extra set of eyes and those years of expertise to make sure that we fully understand what's being proposed, so then we'll fully confidently either reject or embrace it. So, all right. Tudor House events. We have we've got the dates lined up. We're still kind of finalizing a couple of the music acts. But I wanted to report that last year, working with grants and working with our communications manager, we said, we could use some support for this, so we reached out to area businesses to sponsor these events. And I'm happy to report that we have secured $14,000 in sponsorship for our Tudor events. And I will tell you that Sail into Summer is going to be sponsored by Remax Edge Realty, that's Melissa Kaufman, and Fairway Independent Mortgage, which is Ashley Kaufman. The Lakeside Boats and Barbecue is going to be sponsored by Boatmasters. The Lakeside Oktoberfest will be sponsored by Dano's and the Upper Deck. GPD Engineering is going to sponsor the Christmas Open House. The Bell Stores are sponsoring Movies by the Lake, and I think that might be a first for them. They've helped us with a lot of amenities, but I don't know if they've done a full sponsor. And that's Movies by the Lake. And Music by the Lake will be sponsored by Cornerstone Benefit Services, that's Crystal Sanciola, and Ayers Insurance, which is Karen Ayers and her group over there. So we're just thrilled for their support. And we have one event left, the 4th of July, still needs a sponsor. So if there's a business out there that wants to jump in, we've reached out to them, we'll do that again. So we're very happy about that. The Southside Leader, the headline article for them in their February 16th to 22nd article, as you well aware, Green City Council is considering a moratorium relative to the marijuana. So I just mentioned it again. I don't know, I'm not suggesting that we should. We have had an inquiry. We have no regulations relative to it at this point in time. And I don't know if we want to have a moratorium if you don't. And it's still sort of a nebulous field. The state hasn't adopted all of their provisions yet relative to licensing. So I don't even know how we'd be able to issue a license since we don't know what the state isn't issuing licenses yet either. But medical marijuana is already up and running. And there are some cities that have had a moratorium there. So I just throw that out for the council's consideration. As you deliberate and talk, if you decide that that's something that you're interested in, let us know, and we'll have the law department craft something. We have a citizen who had a concern or comment about the railroad crossings, particularly down at Center Road, and said it's awful bumpy and it's tearing my car up. And there's an awful lot of cars that drive that way. There's even more cars that go Vanderhoof, and it is bumpy, as we all know. So we reached out to CSX, who controls those crossings. One of the things I can tell you, and we may have mentioned this before, I don't know if anybody in the country's got more power than the rail companies. But they were very cordial and very responsive to us. They said that if you're going to do something, they recommend full depth rubber crossings as opposed to concrete. And it's better because of handles the freezing weather. Rough estimate for Center Road would be about $105,000. Vanderhoof would be about $95,000. So we have about a $200,000 project. Often they will cost share. If the city purchases materials, they'll do the labor. I was advised it's a 60-40 split. I don't know who gets the 60 and who gets the 40, but I have a hunch. So probably if we wanted to do something like this, it would be somewhere around $120,000, $130,000, $140,000. We've only had one person bring this to my attention, but that doesn't mean it's not a problem. And it may be something we want to address down the road. We did take a look. To get state funding for rail stuff is difficult because the state funding that's available is they're the bigger projects. So we will. Well, you can feel free to share some thoughts. We'll try to get a little better idea from CSX on this thing. We will take a look and see if there's any kind of state funding we could plug into.
I would think that'd be more federal funding. It's interstate commerce, so I don't think you'd see much state involvement other than where the state would want to get involved is where there's going to be a new spur for new development.
Okay. Good point.
But that's clearly an interstate line, so that would be interstate commerce, which doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore, so I don't know what the rails regulate.
No, but yeah, I'll do an outreach tomorrow on that, because our local representative is on that committee. So, okay, I'll follow up there. All right, let's see. The Charter Review Commission met on February 13th, and they're gonna meet again on February 27th. As you know, I copied you folks. I submitted a proposal for 2 amendments for their consideration, and, you know, they'll do what they wanna do with it. The one was section 505, to add electronic minutes as a way of the committees recording their minutes, so you don't actually have, you know, once you've done it, it's all recorded. Pursuant to state law, that's sufficient, but we would need to add that to the chart. I'll back up one. 4.11 is the one that requires personal service for special meetings. But I looked at that section, and it starts, the language begins by, unless council has rules to the contrary. So, council can fix that in their rules without having to amend the charter. And which will hold on to, if you decide to do that. All right, and then and I made the suggestion relative to the primary election, getting it out of September and moving it into May, as virtually every city in the county does now. And I put some reasons for that. You saw those, so we'll see what the commission does with those. I know we've talked. Anyone is invited to submit proposed amendments, suggestions for amendments, either collectively or individually. So.
Can I ask a question on that one, because how would that work on if other cities do it, how do they word it so that, like this year's presidential election, the primary is not in May, so if we had, like what we had before, if we had ours in May, would we be the only one, or do all cities do their primaries in May, even, there's never municipal,
That's right.
federal.
That's how it's written, that's how it's working. So first of all, it identifies the date for the municipal election.
Okay.
Which is gonna be that first Tuesday after the first Monday in the, I guess the odd number of years.
So it'd never be an even number.
Right.
Okay, got it. I answered my own question.
Pretty good. That's good. Okay, and let me see, lastly, where everybody always likes to hear, Mr. Powell shared with me some of the ideas that council had, which is good. And I wanted to let you know that prior to that discussion, actually, we had a meeting with our development team about 3 weeks ago, and we asked them to put together a plan for 2024, and we're meeting with them again tomorrow. Included in that plan was a couple things you guys have talked about. One is to put together a business index by type of business and get that up on our website. So we're working on that. Another is an index of available properties in the city. So we're working on that as well. We're working on a variety of other things as well, trying to do some canvassing and some hands-on with people in the corridors where we might see development landowners to find out exactly what they want, to make that personal contact. We've done that before, we've tried before. We've had, kind of average success. There's some people that haven't responded to us, so we're going to step up the effort to try to say, hey, listen, to be specific, that we're very hopeful that there's going to be sewer here in 93. So if you own property on 93, what does that mean to you? And you tell us. So we'll be working on that through the year as well.
Are we able to, in that type of directory or contact, are we able to, I know we can't mandate, but are we able to possibly suggest, you've got this piece of property, or this piece of property might be available, and here are the city's thoughts on how this could be, whether this be residential, it's currently zoned R1, R2, whatever. I don't know if that could be a part of that or not.
Yeah, well, I think we got to get the dialogue going first, I guess. And and then discuss a clear notion of what the city's intention is.
Right.
Certainly, I wouldn't do that. I don't want to do that individually. I think it's a matter of, but I think part of it is the direction we got from the comprehensive plan.
Right.
So I think going forward, we're going to need to have those conversations. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because that means sooner rather than later we get the pipes in the ground out there. So, and that effort, as you well know, is continuing to try to secure the funding gaps to cover the initial phases of the sewer project. So that's a work in progress. Probably won't know solid answers on funding, I would say, until end of May. Good guess?
If that.
If that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the state anyway.
Right. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Kelly, finance report, I'm sorry, Sue. Sue, finance report?
Yes, we are, besides our normal things, we're working on the gap of, which is converting all the information into our financial report, which all that has to be done in the financial report done by the end of May. So we've got like a 2 or 3 page list of things that we have to get to our gap conversion people during the course of that time in the next few months. Like they will say, okay, here's the list of all the things we need, and then we need these now, we need these, next week, whatever. And so it can be stuff that I have to get them, stuff Diane, stuff, it just depends on what they're working on at that time. But we are in the midst of that. And then before that gets done, I know the auditors will call me because they love students. I did get some information from the Ohio Municipal League. They have their seminars up. I don't know if you've seen them. For new council members, they have March 2nd, March 16th, and March 23rd. The second is in Lewis Center, which is south of here. March 16th is in Athens, which is much further south. It's on the river.
Yeah.
And then there's the one in Independence, which is the one on March 23rd. So if any of the new people would like to go, if they let me know, if you want to go to the one in Independence, I have to know by March 6th, no later than March 16th, because that's when we have to be enrolled.
What time is that one in Independence?
It does not have a time. It was,
I believe it's in the morning.
it starts
was
in the morning,
last-
but I don't have, sorry, registration begins at 8:30 at all 3 locations. There it is.
8:30.
Yeah, 8:30. So that is possible, and if you just let me know, I can get you signed up. So if you're interested. I did meet with one of our new council members, Mr. Schaefer. He set an appointment to go over reports and things of that nature, which was great. I like that. I want to continue and invite anybody, even if you're not new, to come. And I will be available, anytime during office hours and even after office hours, or some, on a weekend, even if that's what you need to go over stuff or you feel comfortable doing that. Whatever you need, I'm here to make your lives easier and my life easier. One of the things that Mr. Schaefer did bring up, which I did want to say again, speak about it again, there was discussion about when you get the monthly reports, and so I explained to him it's not like we get them and I sit on them and I give you that. It depends on how things fall together, because sometimes, for example, January doesn't usually get closed right away, or does December, because it takes longer, because it's the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. There's so much more paperwork to do. Our objective is always to get the month closed as fast as we can. There are certain months where we have a lot of things going on at the Tudor house, and that is like one receipt for everything, every person that, puts in a receipt. Sometimes we can bulk some of them, but it's like when there's a ton of those things, that kind of slows down the process. Also, our process is that we put everything in, then I get all the bank statements and get the bank rec done so that we zero out, so that we know there's no errors, and go over the reports before I actually upload them. But you get them as soon as I'm done. So I don't try to time it any way or another, but we do try to get them out as quick in the month as we can. So I kind of wanted to explain that. There's no really, we're slacking and sitting on them or whatever. It just happens to be how it falls and how fast the month gets closed. we've had it not been able to close it till like the 12th of the month sometimes, it just depends. But we do try to get it out to you as soon as possible. If you have any questions or whatever, please ask me. But that's kind of how this works. It's just depends on how things come in. And as you know, we have a small staff and we're all doing 3 or 4 different jobs, let alone on a good day. So we have to make sure that that all gets done. So please, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to help with whatever I can. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any old business?
I've got a couple of things here. One is the Citizen of the Month program. That's still moving forward. Katie currently has a link on the city website. It's under How Do I? And then there's a slot for nominations. You can click on that. That gives you the Google, there's a Google form there. And it also says you can contact me. I've got an actual PDF form I can send you. I've had one person already reach out. I forwarded them the form. And I expect to have some nominations to you guys here probably at the end of this week or early next week to consider for the first of the month. I've already got the certificate drafted up, ready to go. Shared that with her. I think we're in good shape there. Earlier, I think it was last week, I sent you guys an email on charter proposals. You guys could just get back to me on that. I'd like to get that to them by the end of this week. And that way they have a few, over the weekend and stuff to digest that and look at it before the meeting.
Anybody else? Any old business? Anybody have any new business?
We had talked about having a second workshop. I'd like to propose we look at March 23rd, which is a Saturday at 9 a.m.
That's
And
the
then-
day of the training.
It is-
That's the day of
The council
the
training.
council training and
Okay.
independence, so we get the number and
So do we have people going to it or not?
I would not be going, 23rd is fine for me, but you
Yeah.
really need to.
It's really up to Barry and Greg and.
yeah,
How about you, Jim?
you're the ones that need it.
We can look at another date.
Nothing personal,
Yes.
but your duties.
Yeah, you need it. I was thinking about going, because I found the one last year very educational, or 2 years, whatever it was. I thought it was
And
great.
actually, you know a lot more and be able to ask more
That's
questions.
exactly,
when you
that is
question,
exactly
so,
right. You're
Yeah,
spot on, because when you're there the first time, it's like, it's overwhelming, so.
So one of the things we wanted to talk about is a potential topic in our next workshop is, if you remember, we were talking about the budget. We thought about maybe getting some budget sheets or maybe inviting you to go through some of the new people, go through the budget and how it works and explain to them how you got the different sections there. You look at some of the line items that are the same repeated, and once you get to each different budget type line. And we would call it a budget 101, just to kind of give everybody a heads up on it and
Sure.
get that. So that's all I have.
Okay.
Well, talking about dates, is the 30th, I don't know when Easter is. Is Easter
Easter is,
Easter is the 31st, yeah, so the 30th, that might be challenging. I don't know, we can discuss a little more. I wouldn't have a problem with having it after the training. I think that training was over by 10:30. We could-
It's an independent stuff.
Yeah, it's an independent, so I think it'd be
Yeah,
noon.
certainly,
Um,
we can talk about it.
Yeah, we could talk about it. So that was new business. Anybody else have anything for new business?
I do, but it's actually old business.
All right. You're forgiven.
Well, that is it. Yeah, I want to let you know that we've had some discussions, I know council did as well. There were concerns about the estate sale over there in Green Valley.
Oh, yeah.
So we're in the middle, we're doing some research on it. The idea of, we have an ordinance that talks about special permits for special events. And so the question is this one of the events that we want to add to that requires a permit? So the initial, so far, we haven't been able to find any other cities that require a permit for estate sales. That doesn't mean we can't, but it tells you something. And then there were discussions about if you're going to craft something, it'd be tricky. That doesn't mean you can't. All right. But maybe, as importantly, I had some extensive discussions with Chief Bickett, and I think very candidly, his thought was, the answer might be better policing. And that was his comment. Not to throw anybody under the bus, but I will say this. I sat up there for 16 years, and I've been sitting in there now, I'm in my 7th year. This is the first time that we've had, I won't say this is the first time we had a problem. It's the first time, if there have been other problems, they haven't brought to our attention. And that suggests to me that doesn't mean that it wasn't a horrible problem for the people on Green Valley, but is it something that's consistent enough that would require, to enact something that apparently no other municipality has? And so from Chief Bickett's standpoint, he thought that the lesson learned from this is for the police to be a little more proactive initially. When the situation arises, be on the scene, make sure the patrol guys are aware of it so they can monitor it throughout, the daylight hours, and then see if, see what happens, see if this is something that becomes chronic that we need to try to legislate. So I just want council to know, and I want the people to know that we didn't ignore the issue, and I know council was proactive and asked some questions as well. So we're still in the process of trying to check some other municipalities, and I'll update you as I find that out.
We'll give you an opportunity here in just a second. I guess I would think part of that might be for the police department or the administration to watch for advertisements for such events so that you know ahead of time, and then that advertisement might have a number that you could call, so the police department could call and be proactive. I was all in favor of it until I heard no other cities have it. And if we're gonna have a unique code, it's just asking for failure, in my opinion. I kind of like the idea of being proactive from a policing standpoint.
There was contact with some of the larger estate sale companies, and I could say, of course, they're going to say this, but the feedback universally was nobody else requires this. But I think what we can do, one thing we can do is, first of all, watch for them, and then secondly, communicate a little bit better with those companies to let them know what we expect when they're going to be in the city. So.
Any other new business before we?
Real quick, you were talking about meetings, council meetings. Just keep in mind that March 30th is Easter egg hunt at the Tudor House that Saturday morning at 10:30.
Yeah, we're gonna steer clear of these.
I think that weekend would be that. Okay. Hearing no other new business, now it's public comment for anything that's been discussed at the meeting.
Hi there.
Every time you get there. 10:30.
So my question is regarding, and I've seen it on several signs as you enter New Franklin. Vendors permit required. What does that mean specifically? And would this circus we went through fall under that?
We had some conversation about that, and I think the answer is not necessarily.
Well, what that goes to is that's door to door.
Yeah.
That's what that.
Oh, trust me, they were door to door.
No, I understand.
bumper
But I mean, no,
That's what that legislation-
That's what that legislation goes to.
Okay,
Um,
so it in no way affects,
no, it wouldn't affect this.
okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Go ahead, Sharon.
Sharon Goodman, 789 Hampshire Road. I just wanted to make a comment about the safe sales. There are some that do hire an officer to be on site, direct traffic, keep the flow. So if that's an option.
I think in the dialogue that the department would have with them, hopefully beforehand, that would be the opportunity to say, hey, you're gonna have a lot of people here, that might be something we suggest. Any other public comment? All right, we do have a need for executive session to discuss imminent court action. No decisions will be made during the executive session. We'll get back out of executive session to adjourn. Did I say it? Oh, we need
Motion
to.
to adjourn to executive session.
Who was the second?
Second.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Okay.
Next council meeting.
Next council meeting is March 6th, 2024.
Okay.
Right here at 6 o'clock.
Right right here.
Yeah, we are. Then, that way, everybody.
I will tell you right now.
You started having those kind of
I'm very happy.
Yeah, I'll be there. You can consider it.
I said, I can't concern this, is that the way it is part of it, because your street is still not.
Yeah, probably.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying, might be.
They working down in Manchester, they're gonna swat that thing.
Yeah, I think.
We're just wanting to.
Ah, see, yep, thank you very much. No problem.
I do think it's.
Or make a, yeah.
I made a comment 2 weeks ago
What kind of
about this.
laptop, you can't even do some, you know, you can do a laptop. Why did you get, like, if you don't get an Apple laptop?
No, those are some.
Yes, yeah, so that doesn't do anything.
And I got some,
So-
stop it.
But we're gonna take your suggestion to get something.
Right, now, the other thing is you can get, I guess, money. And you can have that just to your computer solution. And there's a switch that you can get.
Top.
You don't have to have a separate keyboard or a separate mouse.
That's what I
or a
said.
separate monitor.
I said
Yes. The only problem is, and that's still one person.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were wanting to just put a separate one, probably back in the
Like a
record.
standalone.
Yeah, that just, that's what it's for.
Right.
And that we can all get into it if we need to.
Just have to make sure it's secure.
Yes, and in the records room, that's always locked up, so that's kind of what our
If you
thing
need
is.
any help with that, set it up.
Well, and you again, you know.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. How did you make that woman mad?
Huh?
Was that woman mad at you or?
Yeah, she was serious.
Because her name was mentioned in the public hearing, she mentioned her name in the public hearing, and they made a comment, and I said, she made a comment.
No.
She said,
Public forum,
Yeah, I said it's-
it's fair use.
no, I said, if you speak, if you speak in a
Her
public.
name was in the public minute.
Yeah, it's like if
Yeah.
you speak in a public meeting,
Yeah.
your name is public and can be pretty.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Bye-bye now.
They said they're-
Don't come back.
Whatever.
Nice,
Yeah.
not nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not stalking her.